What's up, YouTube? My name is William, aka Crypto Willie. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can upgrade your Ledger Nano S. Now, my Ledger Nano S, I bought it last year, 2017, and ever since I bought it, I've not been able to upgrade it. So today is going to be the first time I'm going to be upgrading my Ledger Nano S. So it's going to be a lot of steps. So I'll need you to be patient with me because we are going to go through the whole process, how to upgrade this. So if you're ready, let's get right into it. Now, the first thing we need to look at is to look at a few things. Why are we upgrading our Ledger Nano S? There are certain things which has been added to the Ledger Nano S as an update, which is pretty important or necessary if you're holding the hardware wallet. And we're going to look we're going to take a look at a few of them, and we are upgrading from a lower version, which is my Ledger Nano S is the 1.3, and I'll be upgrading to the 1.4.2. So the first thing is what's this update all about? Now, this information was taken from the official website of the Ledger Nano S. You can see the link at the bottom. The update is to correct a few minor security issues, or how they put it, improvements. And you can see the list that I highlighted. The first one is to improve user PIN security. When you're using your PIN or entering your PIN, they've made it better for the end user, just in case if you're in maybe in a public place and you're using your wallet. The security on the Ledger Nano S has changed. That's one of them. And the second is improving the recovery phrase. Also is a little bit related to number one, but is to help you with your security phrases. And that is how you select your security phrase in case if you're in a public place. And the third one is getting rid of confused error messages with the MCU firmware in version 1.4.1. Sometimes some people have complained that when they are trying to use their Ledger Nano S on that particular version, 1.4.1, they get a message saying that they are not using a genuine Ledger Nano S. So that has been corrected in the new upgrade, which is the 1.4.2. Now the fourth one is improving the application checks. That's something that has to do with the icons or the application software that you have on your Ledger Nano S, how they interact with the hardware. That has also been improved. And like I said earlier on, you can see the link if you want to read more about the updates. Now the next one is something which people always ask. Will I lose my fund if I do this upgrade? No, you're not going to lose your fund as long as you have your 24 seed words properly stored, backed up, and it's not in a public place where anybody can see it. You're fine. You're not going to lose your fund, even if you stored your cryptocurrency from my Ether wallet, like I've demonstrated in my previous videos. You're not going to lose your fund because the cryptocurrency you have in your Ledger Nano S is in your private key. Now, doing this upgrade only affects the software and the firmware. It doesn't affect the private key and your public key. So all your cryptocurrency funds, they are stored in your private key, so you're not going to lose anything. So don't worry. Even if you're doing it for the first time, just rest assured you're not going to lose your funds. And another thing which they mentioned on their official website is they recommend that you do this update, but it is not mandatory. It is not mandatory. If you don't want to do it, it's fine. But for security reasons, they recommend that you update your Ledger Nano S. So these are a few questions. If you want to read more about the questions, I've put the link underneath this video, and also you can see it on the screen, where you can read more on the upgrades and the updates. So now we're going to go into the demonstration. So I'm going to be upgrading my Ledger Nano S using their official step-by-step process in upgrading the Ledger Nano S. Okay, the first thing we need to do is to go to the official website of Ledger Nano S, see the process that we need to go through to do this upgrade or update. So the first thing we need to do, the first step they are requesting is to check the current version of our firmware. Now to do that, once you click on this link, it takes you to the page. Now my Ledger Nano S is a used Ledger Nano S. What that means is it's not a brand new Ledger Nano S. I have some cryptocurrency in this device, so it's not like a brand new Ledger Nano S. So I'm going to be using this this section that says a Ledger Nano S in use. So the first thing I need to do is to insert the cable to switch on the device. So I'm connecting my Ledger Nano S. So in the new security feature, it's not going to be like this. It's not going to start with a 5 and then you enter in the code and all that. There's a slight modification because that's part of the security feature in the new Ledger Nano S. So I'm going to enter in my my code. All right. So I've just entered in my PIN, and the next thing is saying press the right button to select to the settings menu and press both buttons to enter. So I'm going to go to the settings menu. And press both buttons. And then I need to go to devices. Press both buttons. And then firmware. Press both buttons. So we can see that my firmware is the 1.3.1. So I will need to take note of this, and then the next process is that the firmware version is displayed under the secured elements. The microcontroller version is displayed under the MCU. And my microcontroller is the 1.1. The latest version now is the 1.5. So we can see that this is overdue for an upgrade or for an update. So that's how you can see the version of your Ledger Nano S. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the website and see what's the next thing. Since we've seen the version, this is just the process that will show you. You can see this is the although this is an old one, they now have the 1.4.2. and the MCU is still the same, 1.5. All right, so we'll go back to the update process. So we've checked to see our new version. Now we're going to go to step 2. Now it says for use Ledger Nano S in use, launch the Ledger Manager on your computer. Okay, so I'm going to launch my Ledger Manager. So it has recognized my Ledger Nano S connected. Okay, and what's the next process? Now the next process, it says, okay, connect the Ledger Nano S, enter the PIN, all that has been done. So we move on to step number 3. Now it says to uninstall application. Now the reason why we need to uninstall application is to make space for the software update. But later on, we're going to reinstall the application. You just need to uninstall 1 or 2 to make up space. Don't worry, you're not losing your funds, your money in the Ledger Nano S. Like I earlier said, this has nothing to do with your private key, public key, and all that stuff. So rest assured, you're okay. So I'm going to go back into my Ledger Nano S, that's Device Manager, and uninstall Bitcoin. Just going to click on that icon. Just going to give it a few seconds. Now on the Ledger Nano S, it's requesting to allow for this deletion. So we're going to select that check mark. Okay, and we are also going to delete, what else can we delete? Okay, let's just assume this is all we need to delete, just Bitcoin. But when we're done, we'll need to reinstall it when we're done with the whole process. So let's go to the next step. So the fourth step is to download the software. So that's the firmware software. So we're going to go back to the Ledger Nano S device manager and install. Okay, so we can see the identifier. And we're going to compare the identifier on our Ledger Nano S with what we have on the software. Okay. All right, so it's good. So we're going to select the mark. So now we need to enter in the our PIN code, which is down here, step 5. That is to proceed with the firmware update. But before step 5, we need to make sure that we look through this step 4 because it's quite vital. So we've gone through this. We'll now display the installation screen while the updater is installing on the device. Okay. And then step 5, the Ledger Nano S will now show 3 screens, which we have seen. Okay, so we saw where it was showing the update firmware, the firmware version, and then the identifier. And these were the things we saw on our screen. Okay, and after verifying the 3 screens, proceed with the update by pressing the right button, which I did, and then you enter in your PIN code to unlock your Ledger Nano S. So I'm going to enter my PIN code to unlock my Ledger Nano S. All right, so I just did that. And then we can see this message is it's saying the MCU firmware is outdated, which we can see down here, right here, because I'm using this version 1.3.1. So according to the steps, we need to go down to this point where it said to begin, connect your Ledger Nano S on the Ledger Nano S manager on the right side of the image below, and then you go to step 6. So we're going to go to step 6. So we're going to unplug our Ledger Nano S. You say unplug and replug the Ledger Nano S to your computer while holding the left button. The left button is the one near the USB. So I'm going to unplug my Ledger Nano S while I'm holding this button as a left button close to the USB. So I'm going to hold that, unplug it, and then I'm going to re-plug it while I'm still holding down that button. So I release the left button on the Ledger Nano S, and the MCU is trying to load up. So now it's showing update, and the next thing we'll see is processing. So we can see right here. All right, so it's showing processing on my Ledger Nano S, and we are almost there with the entire process. So according to the process here, it says select your case. If the firmware version is in step 1 is 1.3 or higher, you should go to step 7. But if it's lower, you should enter this 24 word seed. So my situation is this. So now I'm going to go to step 7, which is saying enter your PIN to unlock the Ledger Nano S. And that's what it's showing me here. It says PIN code. So I'm going to enter in my PIN code. All right, now, so it's finishing up the process. Right here is showing settings. So I'm going to go into settings and check the version. So I press both buttons. It's highlighting on settings. And then I go to devices, press both buttons. That's you use the right arrow or the right button to scroll and the left to go up and down. So I'm scrolling with the left button. So I now move to device, press both buttons, and then the firmware. Let's see what firmware it is. It's highlighting on firmware, so I press both buttons. And right now I can see 1.4.2 as the secure element, and the MCU is 1.5. So it has updated it to the latest version, which is 1.4.2. All right, so now I will need to install those applications I removed. So I've gone through this. I can see this and also see this on my Ledger Nano S. So now is to reinstall the applications. So I'm going to go back to the home screen. So back and go to quit application, press both buttons. And then on the device manager, here I will need to install those applications. Now the instruction here for the reinstallation is please install the Bitcoin app first. All other applications require the Bitcoin app installed to operate properly. So the first thing I need to do is to install the Bitcoin application. So I'm going to install the Bitcoin application. Okay, Bitcoin has been installed successfully. Now the next one is going to be Ethereum. So I'm going to go to Ethereum and install Ethereum. I'm waiting for the prompt on my Ledger Nano S telling me to accept the installation. So right now it's showing processing. All right, so it automatically installed Ethereum on my Ledger Nano S. Now the next one is Stellar and also Ripple. Let's do Ripple first. So I'm going to go to Ripple and select Ripple. and it's showing processing on my Ledger Nano S, and it automatically installed Ripple. And then the final one is Stellar. So I'm going to move down to Stellar and install that. And here we are, Stellar. So select Stellar. And it's showing processing in my Ledger Nano S. All right, and it got installed. So now I have all four. So I have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, and Stellar. So all four has been installed on my Ledger Nano S. So we're finished with the process on the website. Now the final process, this is just an addition. I need to verify that my coins, which I transferred from my Ether wallet, is still in my Ledger Nano S. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to connect my Ether wallet to my Ledger Nano S and then verify to make sure that I still have my funds in my Ledger Nano S. So I'm going to disconnect from my Ledger Nano S so I can go into my Ether wallet, because all the applications have been installed, the version has been updated. We just want to do the final verification that we still have our funds in our Ledger Nano S. All right, the final process is to make sure that we still have our funds in my Ether wallet after the update. So to do that, we're going to go to my Ether wallet. And if you've looked through my previous video, I usually store some altcoins or ERC20 token on through my Ether wallet into my Ledger Nano S. So I want to make sure that I have those funds in here after the update. So I've gone into the website of my Ether wallet and I selected send ETH or and tokens. So now I'm going to connect my Ether wallet. I'm going to connect this and then I'm going to enter in my PIN code. Now the good thing about this new security with the new update, the numbers, they come in at random. It's not like before where it starts at a particular number all the time when you connect into your Ledger Nano S. Now the numbers can change. Sometimes it can be 1, sometimes it can be 5 when you plug in your cable to the Ledger Nano S. So, and another thing which I observe is that you now have 8 characters to enter values or to create like your numbers. So it's not restricted to just 4 anymore. It's now 8. But if you are like me that have been using it with just 4 characters, now what you do is that at the 5th entry, you just keep scrolling your up and down arrow until you buttons until you get to the arrow, the check mark. Once you get there, after entering your 4 characters on the 5th entry, you just select the check mark, and that will open up your Ether, your Ledger Nano S. And then you now move to Ethereum and you select that. And then we're going to click on connect to Ledger. And it's here. Now, sometimes if you try clicking on that Ledger Nano S, the connect to my Ether button, if this doesn't show up, you need to go to Ethereum on your Ledger Nano S. Make sure browser support is enabled for this to appear. If it is not enabled, if it's not selected as yes, this is not going to show up. So don't forget, if this doesn't show up when you click on that button that says connect wallet, make sure you go to Ethereum on your Ledger Nano S and select Ethereum and then browser support and say yes to browser support in order for this box to show up. All right, so this is my my wallet that I normally send all my tokens into. So I'm going to select this and then unlock the wallet. All right, so it has unlocked it. Just move this to the side here. And then I want to see my coins, show all tokens. All right, I'm going to start with, let me see EOS. Let me see how much I have. If my funds are still here in EOS, scroll down to, okay, so I click on that. All right, so we can see that my fund is still in the Ledger Nano S. So that verifies that everything is still in the Ledger Nano S after the upgrade. So you're not losing your funds. Your funds still remain in your Ledger Nano S. And that concludes this video. So if you, I know it's quite a long process, but if you follow it step by step, you will be able to upgrade your Ledger Nano S as well as see your funds that you have in your Ledger Nano S. And that concludes this video. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to our channel. And also all the links that I use from the official website, I'm going to include it underneath this video. And also, if you want to buy the Ledger Nano S, I'm also including a link in the video to support our YouTube channel. If you want to use our referral link, is included in this video to support us, and it will be duly appreciated. Be really appreciated. Thank you so much once again. You have a great day. Bye bye.